Greetings everyone, this is Dr. K. Narayan. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, if you can hear me, could you type something in the chat just so that I know that the audio quality is good? And also, if you want, you can share where you are joining from so that we get an idea of where different people are located. Okay, thank you for confirming that the audio is okay. And again, we'll start in 2 minutes. Greetings everyone. I see that people are joining from different parts of the country. Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining from. So we have people from Canada, from East Coast, West Coast. We are all one big family. So welcome. So we are about to begin in 1 minute. Here are some pointers to help you get the maximum out of this transmission. So this video is a YouTube telecast link, which means right after we are done with the meeting, this entire presentation will be available as a video on YouTube. So what that means is you don't need to worry about taking notes. Just be fully present to the information, and that's all that's needed. Second, please refrain from posting unnecessary comments in the chat because that can become distracting. There is going to be a Q&A right after the workshop where you can ask me any questions and I'll be more than happy to answer. And lastly, all the resources that we mention here are available on the website, which is childrenofinfinity.org/recommendations. So again, don't worry about taking notes, just be fully present to the information. So hello everyone, my name is Dr. K. Narayan, and I'm the founder of this organization called Children of Infinity. This is a non-profit organization that's dedicated to help humanity raise its level of consciousness. This talk that we have today is part of a program that we are introducing called A Year of Spiritual Transformation. The idea is that we want to take people from the very beginning to mastery of spiritual transformation. Now, this is obviously not a simple process. So what we have is we have 12 steps, and we will take this journey over the next year. So each step corresponds to 1 month that we will focus on each step. For this month, the step that we are focusing on is upgrade your beliefs. And the reason we are focusing on this step is because beliefs create the foundation for your existence and what you create. If you have the right beliefs, you are able to create harmony, joy, and peace in your life. If you do not have the right beliefs, you will create lack and disharmony in your life. So working with our beliefs is very important. Now, the core assumption I'm making here is that beliefs are choices, not truths. And as you evolve in your spiritual journey, you'll understand that there are many, many different belief systems. And you can choose. You don't have to stay with the belief that you are raised with or you are conditioned with. You can always choose. Now, changing beliefs is not easy. It's very hard. In fact, if you look at the long human history, people have killed and they have been killed for their beliefs. And people would rather die than examine their beliefs. So this is by no means a simple process. However, by changing our beliefs is where we have the potential for transformation. And this is obvious if you look at the history of science, where one simple belief of how we can access knowledge gave rise to scientific method. And all we have today is a result of that revolution in human thought. And something similar is happening in the spiritual domain today, where we are questioning the beliefs, the spiritual beliefs that we have, and we are ready to take the leap in consciousness. So the way I have structured this presentation is, now obviously talking about beliefs and how we can change them, and also about the research that helps us make better belief system. It's a long topic. What I have done is I have condensed that information and created a video. It's a short video, about 25 minutes, but it gives you a good foundation upon which we can build. So this video, I'll start this video. It will run for about 25 minutes, and then we can go into Q&A and other things. So here we go.
In the past 400 years, our understanding of reality has taken giant leaps. These leaps have come from the courage to challenge our beliefs, no matter how deeply entrenched. Spirituality is undergoing a similar revolution. Although most people's beliefs are still rooted in outmoded ways of thinking, a significant number of us want a better model of spirituality, one aligned with science and evidence, rather than with dogma. It is time to transform spirituality into an evolving discipline, similar to science. In science, old models are constantly being discarded in favor of better ones. If spirituality becomes an evolving discipline, it will serve as a foundation to create harmony and peace for individuals, as well as the planet. This video explores evidence-based spirituality. It is divided into 3 parts: principles, practices, and tools. Let's begin with principles. A model of spirituality has to answer 3 fundamental questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? And why are we here? Fortunately, there is more than 50 years of research to help us answer the questions. The first piece of the puzzle comes from the research on reincarnation at the University of Virginia. This work has been pioneered by Dr. Ian Stevenson and Dr. Jim Tucker. Let's look at a case study.
At the University of Virginia, a group of psychiatrists use science to unlock the secrets of reincarnation. Since the 1960s, the Division of Perceptual Studies has been collecting cases of children who claim past life memories. They now have files on 2,500 children.
Well, I think what the research shows is that for people who are open to considering the possibility that there is evidence that consciousness at times can exist separately from a functioning brain. So in the cases of these children's reports, if you look at the best cases, they provide evidence that at times there can be this carryover of memories and emotions that seem carried over from one life and continue on in another.
I play sports, baseball, soccer, go to Ascension Episcopal School. I have a lot of friends there. The other kids, when they were younger, say, I want to be a fireman, I want to be an astronaut, but I was always, I want to be a fighter pilot. I want to be in the Marines.
Oh, you got some school pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, they came out nice.
From the age of 3, James's parents began to hear stories from their son that shocked them. That their son was recalling things that connected him to a Navy pilot who died in 1945. They were skeptical. Bruce is an HR manager in the oil industry. Andrea is a former ballerina turned instructor. As Christians, they never believed in reincarnation, but they began to piece together an amazing story. The first clue came from the terrifying, non-stop nightmares that James began having at the age of 2.
He was saying, airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out. Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out. That's when I was like, oh my God, is that what he's been dreaming this entire time?
What he was saying wasn't registering as much on me as what he was doing. He was flailing around in bed. And I remember the very specific thought I had at that point. This looks like The Exorcist. He was freaking out. I had this thought, is he possessed? What is going on here?
Within a year, the visions that greeted James in his nightmares began taking shape when he was wide awake.
I was reading to James, and then he sat up and he goes, Mama, the little man's going like this. And he laid down and he goes, and he did the same thing he did in his dream. He was kicking his feet up and he goes, the little man's going like this. Ooh, 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 can't get out, can't get out. And I sat him back up and I said, who's the little man? And he goes, me. It still makes my hair stand up. And Bruce said, what happened to your plane? And he said, it crashed on fire. And he said, why did your airplane crash? And he said, it got shot. And Bruce said, who shot your plane? And he went, oh, the Japanese.
James then gave his parents the next uncanny clue, one that was very specific, the name of a ship from which he says his aircraft took off.
So I said, well, did your boat have a name? And he said, Natoma. And I'd never heard the word before. And I went down the hall and got onto the computer and Googled it. And down around hit 300, all there was this thing, Natoma Bay, CVE 62. Clicked on it, and up comes this history of a World War II aircraft carrier. And so that was the beginning of what the heck is going on here.
Standing there staring at this picture of this little, it was like an aerial photo of this little aircraft carrier in the water, and we just stood there staring at it for a long time.
I had no answers. You know, how could he know this? How could he know a person? How could he know a ship? And what did all this mean? So that was where I really just said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to find, but I'm not going to stop looking until I get as many answers as I can get.
This was enough to send Bruce on an investigation, doing his own research. Over the next 2 years, he learned about the men from the Natoma Bay, both living and dead. And James kept giving his parents additional, tantalizing, eerie clues.
Well, I kept asking him, do you remember what your name was? Do you remember what your name was? And he always said James. And I thought, well, he's 2, he's confused. He thinks I'm asking him what his name is.
Then, James started drawing.
That was one of my mission things.
The mission thing, you remember that?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones.
The same thing, over and over. Like a movie compressed all into one frame. An air battle. Flak. A plane on fire. And his signature, James 3. The next breakthrough came when Bruce was invited to the Natoma Bay Veterans Reunion. He asked about the names of men killed in battle. And this led him to finally solving the mystery of James 3.
He called me on the phone and he said, you won't believe this, there's only one guy from Natoma Bay who was killed during the battle for Iwo Jima, and his name was James M. Houston Jr. And I said, wait, that would make our James 3. I was so excited. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, that's him. It's James M. Houston. His name is James. It's the James 3.
James Houston Jr., World War II Navy pilot. At age 21, on March 3, 1945, his plane was shot down over Chichijima. Now, the skeptical parents were sitting on compelling proof that their little boy really was reincarnated. His parents cautiously made contact with James Houston's only surviving relative, his sister, Anne. At first, she didn't know what to think about the little boy who claimed to be her brother reincarnated. But then, James asked her for a painting that only one person other than her knew existed.
She sent this January 16th, 2006. It says, "Dear James, I do hope that this is the picture you asked for. It is the only one of me done by my mother. I am sorry to be so long sending it to you. These past few weeks have been very busy and hectic. I hope you like it. With my love, Annie."
James believed then, as he does now, that it was the dead pilot's soul asking for that picture.
I had asked her for a painting that my past mother had done for her and me. This was in her attic for 50 or so years. My parents and she thought it was crazy that I would know about something like this.
Anne, too, became a believer.
I can understand rational thinking. I'm a pretty rational guy. This is not something rational. And I had a struggle with that spiritually. But I came to the conclusion that I now have a three-dimensional belief system instead of two-dimensional.
At the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies, Dr. Jim Tucker has examined James Leininger. Tucker has developed what he calls a strength of case scale for reincarnation, and he gives James a near-perfect score.
Average age when they first start speaking is 38 months, so usually 2 or 3 years old when it comes out. And some of them will talk about these things anytime, day or night. Sometimes the cases can start with nightmares, the way they did in James Leininger's case. Some are intrigued, many are perplexed, some are upset. Some of the Christian parents in the United States are kind of thrown by it. But regardless of their reaction, the children will talk about this for some time, and then usually by the time they get to be 5 or 6, they seem to forget about it and then just go on with their current life.
After 4 decades and 2,500 cases, the researchers at the University of Virginia have come to a startling conclusion. Reincarnation is real.
The study of reincarnation raises a fundamental question. What is its purpose? The answer comes from past life regression, a discipline of hypnotherapy. Regression is a therapeutic technique used to uncover sources of psychological problems, which are often caused by childhood trauma. Beginning around the 1960s, multiple researchers discovered that when regressed, their patients found the trauma not in their childhood, but in a prior lifetime on Earth. As past life regression evolved, therapists learned how to get information about the time not just on Earth, but between incarnations. A specialization of this research, pre-birth planning, reveals that lifetimes are carefully planned to maximize growth from each incarnation. The purpose of reincarnation, and in fact the purpose of existence itself, is evolution of consciousness. Each incarnation is an opportunity to learn about being human, make better choices, and manifest higher consciousness in daily life. A breakthrough in understanding spiritual evolution came from the research by Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote the book Power versus Force. Using kinesiology, Dr. Hawkins calibrated the map of consciousness and created a logarithmic scale for its stages of evolution. The lower states of consciousness resist the flow of life. For example, shame, the lowest state of consciousness on the scale, causes people to commit suicide. From this outright rejection of life, the scale of lower consciousness goes up to pride at 175. A great marker in evolution comes at level 200, where consciousness begins to embrace life. The higher states of consciousness make the human journey one of joy, purpose, and contribution. At the highest level of the scale is enlightenment, which is our eventual goal on the human journey. A key insight by Dr. Hawkins is that on average, most people increase their level of consciousness only by about 5 points per incarnation. This means that to reach the state of love at level 500, they would need about 100 incarnations on our planet. The promise of true spirituality is that it can dramatically accelerate one's evolution. The last piece of the puzzle is about the origin of consciousness. The answer has to be constructed from the latest advances in physics, specifically quantum mechanics. In essence, there is a primal field of consciousness, which splits and becomes individual consciousness. This perspective is called non-duality. Let's watch a short video to explore the concept.
What lies at the core of existence? According to advanced physics and the direct experience of mystics, it is pure, conscious energy. Let's call it unity, which emphasizes that it is the only underlying reality. Since unity is all that exists, paradoxically, it runs into a limitation. The limitation is that it cannot have an experience, because to experience it would need something outside of itself that would act as the object of experience. And so, unity splits itself into an infinite number of individual consciousnesses and becomes infinity. Since unity was pure consciousness, each of its portions is also pure consciousness. But now each is capable of perceiving others. This state, where an infinite number of consciousnesses exist and are aware of their oneness, is the state of connected infinity. There is a knowing that all of existence is an extension of the Self. The Self can explore consciousness in infinite ways through its interaction with infinity. The state of existence within connected infinity is perfect, but, paradoxically, the perfection excludes a unique and invaluable experience: separation. Now you may think, why would any consciousness choose to experience separation? The answer is that there is learning that can only happen in separation. For example, consider power, something we all explore as human beings. In the state of connected infinity, the concept of power cannot exist, because all consciousnesses know themselves as one. It is only by perceiving themselves as separate from others that people can cling to power. The way the separation happens is through the mechanism of ego. Here, the word ego is used as a spiritual term referring to the false self. This is different from how the term is used in psychology. The false self is created by identification with what you are not. For example, you may think of yourself as a man or a woman. Identifying with a specific gender creates an entire set of beliefs and restrictions. In reality, you are neither a man nor a woman. You have a body that comes with a gender, but just as you don't become a chair by having a chair, you don't become a body by having a body. The false self hides the true self, just as a blanket wrapped around a light bulb hides the light. For physical incarnation, there is yet another layer the self creates, the layer of personality. Personality offers unique characteristics to perceive and interact with existence. For example, an adventurous personality allows people to explore freely. In contrast, a timid personality allows them to be more calculative and cautious. Neither is better than the other because each serves a unique purpose. When there are as many such selves, all hidden under the structures of ego and personality, oblivious to their oneness with each other, they can play the human game, a game of infinite complexity, growth, and beauty.
To summarize, here are the answers to the 3 core questions. Each of us is an individuated portion of the source energy. The purpose of the human journey is the evolution of our consciousness. Now that we have the principles of spirituality, let's examine the application. Evolved spirituality is about 2 core practices: honor yourself and honor others. Honor yourself because you are a portion of the source energy. Here are 3 ways. First, let go of what does not serve you. Let go of lower emotions such as guilt, shame, and unworthiness. These are toxic burdens you have picked up on your journey, most likely from religious conditioning. They make your journey strenuous. Get rid of them. Let go of toxic relationships and environments. Let go of insecurity that imprisons you in harmful situations. The second way to honor yourself is to have higher aspirations for yourself. You bear the light of primal consciousness within. Honor this light by living a life aligned with higher spiritual values rather than the mass programming of consumption and accumulation. Your incarnation is not about being a cog in the economic machinery. The universe is here to support you, but you must take the first step by seeking to live an inspired, fulfilled, and joyous life. The third way to honor yourself is to cultivate your gifts. As a unique expression of the source energy, you have gifts that only you can offer to existence. So use your resources, your time, attention, and money to cultivate these gifts. Let go of meaningless activities such as social media, news, and passive entertainment. Invest that time in growth, which empowers you to uplift yourself and others. The second core practice is to honor others. From the perspective of non-duality, others are an extension of your own being. We are leaves on the tree of life, all connected and supported by one source of consciousness. Honor others by seeing them as source energy. Each being is on a unique journey to perfection, just like you. When you honor others, you create the foundations of peace and shared joy for the collective. Let go of the need to control or manipulate them. Treat them not with judgment, but with compassion. The second way to honor others is through service, which is our highest calling as incarnate beings. When you serve without expecting anything in return, you manifest the highest level of consciousness. As a practical step, find at least one way to serve. Then offer your service as a gift to existence without expecting anything in return. Your example of service will inspire others and help them on their journey to higher consciousness. So far, we have discussed the principles and practices of spirituality. Here are the 4 tools to raise your consciousness: study, awareness, meditation, and community. The first tool is the study of material aligned with higher consciousness. The bulk of spiritual work is to unlearn the wrong programming accumulated over decades. Intentional study dismantles limiting and toxic beliefs to make way for a new, empowering belief system. As a practical step, commit to reading for at least 30 minutes daily. The list of recommended resources is available on the Children of Infinity website. The second tool is awareness. Your greatest power as conscious beings is the power to choose, because choice shapes the world. Awareness helps you to see the origin of your choices and make deliberate decisions aligned with your highest purpose rather than programming or the force of habit. The way to cultivate awareness is through inquiry. Examine your choices by asking, is this choice aligned with higher consciousness or lower consciousness? What is the origin of this choice? Am I making this choice from conscious examination or unconscious programming? Does this choice create a better future, or does it merely continue the past? The third tool is meditation. Most people have heard about the advantages of meditation, but they find it challenging to create a daily meditation practice. The common reason is that they are using outdated forms of meditation. Let's watch a video to learn a better way. To understand meditation, we have to understand ourselves. While we usually perceive ourselves as a body with a mind, the totality of our being is more expansive. To put it succinctly, we are the consciousness that is aware of the body-mind. In a normal state of awareness, our consciousness is occupied with the functions of maintaining the body-mind. These include processing inputs from our senses and internal processes, such as cognition and thinking. During meditation, our consciousness disengages from the external world and turns within. This inward focus allows consciousness to get in touch with its source and be nourished in the process. There are two broad kinds of meditation. The first kind, meditation with the mind, is the most common. In this practice, we focus on an object or a process, such as our breath, an image, or a mantra. Maintaining this focus is difficult because our minds incessantly create thoughts. When we lose focus, the goal is to gently bring the attention back and continue. The second kind is meditation with higher energies. Since all of existence is energy, patterns such as our thoughts, habits, and ways of interacting with reality are also energetic in nature. According to yoga philosophy, our behavior arises from deeper patterns called samskaras, meaning seed patterns in Sanskrit. The higher energies originate from higher realms of existence, known as angelic and devic realms. Meditating with them allows them to work at the deeper level of samskaras and transform the core of our being. This kind of meditation does not require dealing with thoughts. All we have to do is to be in a state of receiving and allow the energies to attune us to higher consciousness. The key requirement for this meditation is access to an authentic channel that can transmit higher energies. Human beings with a sufficiently evolved consciousness can act as channels. In later stages of evolution, our own consciousness can serve as the bridge, and we won't require external means. We have created a special meditation called Stairway of Light to accelerate your spiritual growth. This short meditation uses sound as a carrier for higher energies and takes you through the 7 stages of human evolution. The 7 stages correspond to the 7 energy centers in the human body. We recommend using headphones for this meditation. Here is the suggested routine for using this meditation. Do this meditation first thing in the morning for the next 14 days. If mornings are not possible, any time in the day is fine. Drink plenty of water to integrate these energies into your system. If you want to maximize the effect, do the meditation a second time right before sleep. The fourth tool is a community of spiritual, growth-oriented individuals. Studies show that the best way to navigate transformation is through the power of communities. Make sure to be part of a community aligned with the higher consciousness that honors members, not control them. An empowering community will acknowledge your unique gifts and help you nurture them. A journey with like-minded individuals is not only more effortless than traveling alone, it is also a source of profound joy. To help you further on your spiritual journey, Children of Infinity has created a self-paced video course to upgrade your beliefs. The 14-day course breaks down the journey into steps so you can make daily progress and build a solid foundation for your spiritual growth.
All right, so that was the foundational video. It talked about a lot of things, right? It talked about the principles, then it talked about what are the core practices, and it also talked about the tools. The most important thing that it talked about was community. The reason is because we have this unconscious influence that's always with us, and that is peer influence. Our behavior is, in a way, an average of 5 of our closest friends. So what we are doing here now, as I talked about, Children of Infinity is offering this program. It's called A Year of Spiritual Transformation. We are talking about upgrading your core beliefs right now, which is the theme for this month. And the next month, we are going to talk about detox, declutter, and disconnect. Because that's the first step when you start cleaning the house. It is similar to how before you grow the garden, you need to remove all the weeds from the garden. The last thing is the program, the most important part of the program, in my opinion, is the power of community. And this is where I think a great potential lies. So what is a community? In my opinion, a community is an ideological boundary where it divides the boundary divides the world into two parts. There are people who are outsiders who do not resonate with that ideology. And then there are visitors, people who are interested in that ideology and a way of life, and they want to explore more. And the way they can explore more is they can find out what are the core practices of the community and become members. And then later, a good community will also help you become a leader. That is, you'll be able to lead others who are interested in that particular worldview and help them on their own journey. So the way this program is going to be offered is in two flavors. You can join this program as a visitor. What you get is you get 2 lectures every month. As I said before, one topic every month, which corresponds to 2 lectures every month. And then there is an online community where you can ask questions, you can connect with others. Our long-term goal is to have local chapters where people in particular geographical areas can get together, meditate, and talk about spiritual topics. This is a suggested donation-based membership. However, donation is not required, and if you cannot or don't want to donate, don't worry about it. We are here to serve, and the service is its own reward. If you want to go deeper, there is also a path of membership, and what it does is, in addition to the lecture, you also get assignments plus a guided discussion for each lecture. So Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is right before the next lecture, is when you can join with others who are on the same journey as you and talk about the assignments and what you got out of the lectures, and specifically what practices you are going to cultivate based on the information. In addition, it has also some exclusive events, some meditations which are for more advanced people, and guidance in group settings. And lastly, it also acts as a bridge to become leaders within the community. If you are interested in membership, this is for people who are more committed to their growth. So when I say commitment, here are the core commitments. Number 1 is the commitment to growth. Next is a commitment to using your resources wisely. What I mean by that is most of the people are using their resources for consumption and accumulation. If you want to go on a higher spiritual journey, you have to be responsible for your resources, because these are tools that you can use to uplift yourself and others. But the commitment has to come from within you. The last commitment is to service, because you are here to serve. And service is not sacrifice. It's not giving without taking care of yourself. It's a balanced act. Can everybody hear me? I am getting a comment from somebody that sound has cut off. I hope I'm audible. Okay, we will keep going. So again, if you want to join either as a member or as just a visitor, which is free, here is the link. Let me type the link. Okay, it's called Cutley/YOST. YOST stands for Year of Spiritual Transformation. Again, if you click on this link, it takes you to the visitor page, and you can become a visitor. So here are the next events. The first event we have is on Jan 31st. So there are 2 events that day. For those of you who are members, there is a follow-up on the lecture we have today, but we will go into more details with assignments and practices, and that happens at 9 a.m. And right after that, we go into the second lecture in this series for the first month. The lecture will be about non-duality. Now, we briefly touched upon non-duality today, but we will go much deeper. And non-duality is the only way to understand how science and spirituality can combine together to give us an approach to scientific spirituality. And I will cover both the scientific and the spiritual aspects of what it means, what non-duality means, what are the core pieces that come together to create this worldview. Then on February is when we start on the next step, which is about detoxing and decluttering. So on February 12th, we have an event for how to detox space and information. These are like the key physical building blocks of our life. And if these are not detoxified, they will keep creating this disharmony in our life. Right after that is emotions and relationships. This is a deeper aspect, so we will go within about emotions and relationships and talk about detoxing. The next one on March 12th is on graduating from the Earth School. This is where we will talk about, I touched briefly upon it, about evolution of consciousness. The point is we are here to graduate from this reality. We will talk about what that means and how we can graduate from this school. Lastly, the organization, or actually our community, is here to lead humanity from suffering to joy. And we suffer because of ignorance. So the more we can see reality as it is, the more we can lift this suffering and take the journey to joy. If you want to help in this effort, you can donate and get a tax deduction. So we are, we are a non-profit organization. This is the link where you can make a donation, and all the donations are tax deductible. So once again, let me put the link here. And while I'm putting the link there, we are officially done with the workshop part. So feel free to ask me any questions. And the way you can ask questions is just type the word question in your chat and after a colon, and then you can ask me questions. So this way we keep questions separate from comments. And I'll be happy to answer any questions here. We have at least half an hour for questions. Let's start with questions with what was shared today, and then we can open up to any questions you have about anything pretty much. So again, any questions you have, preface that with the word question, and then you can type in your question in the chat. For those of you who are, so on the laptop, you should be able to, laptop or desktop, you should be able to see the question on the right. Okay, thanks Greg for the comment. Mostly he's saying it's perfect for where I am on my awakening journey. I will look to share with others locally. Thank you, Greg. Look forward to seeing you. Any other questions, comments? Question from Mandy. How will we know when we have graduated from the Earth School? Well, you won't be coming here unless you have a very specific purpose. What I mean by that is, most of us are here to learn. When the learning is complete, we are ready to go to higher levels of consciousness where we can learn more complex things compared to what we are learning on this planet. Some of us are here to teach, but you can still come here as a teacher depending on if you want to do that work. Question from Yoshi, is the donation page used for monthly membership as well? Yes, so Yoshi, if you go to that page, there is a way, actually if you go to Mighty Network, there is a link on how to set a monthly donation. And once you set that up, you will become a member. Question from Nikki, are the visuals from the video provided anywhere? I am not sure these are videos that are created, so you can look at the videos. Question from Jeff, when you say 9 a.m., is that EST? So that's specific. So again, at 9 a.m. or actually 8:45 a.m. Pacific time is when we meet, is when all the members meet for deep dive into lectures. And then at 10 a.m. Pacific is then when we have this lecture on YouTube. Question from Kathy. Hawking's scale of consciousness. Is there a way to evaluate where we are in this lifetime? Yes, so there is kinesiology which helps you calibrate your own level of consciousness. You need somebody who is familiar with this technique to do the work. So this is not something that you can pick anybody and do the work. However, one thing to also keep in mind is the normal state of awareness that you experience, if that is of love and joy. So whatever you feel most often in the day, that is typically your level of consciousness. Question from Leslie. How can we stay connected to family members who are not open to a higher level of spirituality? I will not change them. I think that's a great question. And that represents this kind of question that we all have, is we have a certain belief system which we very strongly feel about. However, most of the people outside of this community may not have the same level of either interest in spirituality or the understanding of spirituality. And my answer is, there are two steps. Number one is, it's okay if they do not agree with your point of view, just as it is okay that you don't agree with their point of view. Let them be, and instead of using force, use inspiration so that they can see the opportunity of changing their life and take the steps out of their free will. If you live a life that radiates so much joy, it is infectious. It will automatically affect them and inspire them to have a more spiritual background. On the second hand, if they choose not to change, don't worry about it. It's not your job to change them. Your job, if you are willing to do it, is to love them. And sometimes it's hard because we make their beliefs, that they align their beliefs with what we want to believe, a prerequisite for our love. And as we grow, we realize that's not true. They don't need to believe in what we believe to receive love from us. I would also encourage you to find a family which is closer to your belief system, and that is by being with a community of people who believe in what you believe in. Our family is given to us for a purpose so that we can love them unconditionally. But there are people who will become part of your family later because of your beliefs and because of the sense of service that you feel to the community. Question from Brittany. Are the books mentioned listed anywhere? Yes. So they are available on the Children of Infinity website. Let me post a link. So use this link. I posted the link. Question from Meta. I wonder if we can use your videos for local meetings. Of course, all that we do is freely available and given out of service. Question. Will this teach people that we are one race, human, living on one planet? Not only we are just humans living on one planet, we are the universe that is individualized so that we appear distinct and separate, but we are part of this entire cosmos. And once we have that understanding, we'll be able to access portions of ourselves which are not even on this planet. Question from The One. Can you give details about the Stairway of Light meditation? Thank you. That's a great question. The way this meditation works is it's an entirely different technology. And what I mean by that is, as technology has progressed, we have found ways to do the same things much more efficiently, right? In the material world. And similarly, what we have in the spiritual world is we have a direct connection to the source energy, the energy that powers everything. So Stairway of Light meditation is a specific, special meditation that has been created. And what this does is, when you do this meditation, it actually connects you directly to the source of all being. And if you stay with that energy for a while, the energy will begin to kind of harmonize you to a better purpose. And you will begin to see patterns, the core patterns of your being changing over a period of time. So again, if you go to Mighty Network website, there is a course there for 14-day challenge for meditation. So every day you do the meditation, and that will help you anchor in the practice. Question from Julia. Is our higher vibration the most important thing for us to connect with higher spirits? There are, in a way, yes. But also, the question becomes, how do you raise your vibration? And the answer to that is by living your life in a way that honors the true you. So there is an internal practice of meditation for that, and there is an external practice of living in alignment with your highest self. And if you do those two things over a period of time, you'll develop that connection, which was in a way already there. You are just refining it. Question from Leah. I use my social media to learn, connect with others I feel common interest with. Hard to disconnect from that in our shared evolution. How do you suggest doing this? If that's fine. If you are using social media consciously, purposefully, that's perfectly okay. It's a tool that you want to use. What you need to realize is social media is designed to be addictive. And the reason it's designed to be addictive is the more time you spend on social media, the more ad revenue they can make by selling your attention to advertisers. So be careful and be conscious. But if you are already conscious and using it properly, then go for it. Question from Melissa. Is there a local chapter in Denver? Not yet. Our goal is to get there by end of this year. And I think similar question with Los Angeles. But I am actually located in Laguna Hills, which is like an hour from LA. So I am planning to have a local chapter here in Laguna Hills. So if you are nearby, feel free to connect with me on Mighty Network, the link that I put. And from there, you can join us. Question from Marilyn. How do I pay for donation? So the way you do that, one second, let me post a link here. This is the link for being part of the community. At the end, you will find the instructions for setting up the donation. Same to you, Otivia. We don't have a local chapter in Rochester yet, but we want to get there. Question from JI. Is it possible to rise in consciousness but then fall back into lower states of consciousness? Or once attained, we can't fall back? So it's a complicated thing. So it's not one thing that you attain once and that's it. You have to get established at that level of consciousness. And that means it has to reflect in the free will, in the choices that you make. So we do fluctuate, at least in the early stages. And after that, we keep going higher and higher. So it's more like a spiral that goes up and down rather than a straight path. Question from Steve. If I engage the 14-day challenge, how do I evaluate the efficacy? Your own inner being will provide you the answer. So look at how much peace and joy you feel in your life right now. Do the meditation for 14 days and evaluate yourself again for your level of peace and joy. And you will see what changes you have. Question from Olivia. If we are able to meditate with the angelic realm, I understand that it will replenish us, but will it deplete their energy? No, because the energy that they have is at a totally different level and so high that it doesn't deplete them. It's like a solar panel. If you have a solar panel, you can run all things. From there, it doesn't deplete sun's energy, or sun's energy is anyway being used. Question from Dorothy. What purpose do spirit guides serve in the evolution of human consciousness? I think that's a great question. And the answer is, while you see yourself as a human being on this human journey, there is a higher part of you which is always there to guide you from a higher realm. And spirit guides are operating from that dimension. They are here to help you grow. Just like think of children. You want the best for your kids. You want them to grow. So you do things for them for which they cannot pay you back. And it's similar that higher realms do work for us for which we cannot pay them back. Question from Julia. Is our peace, joy, and more wisdom a good indication that we are in the right path? Exactly. If you feel more joy and you feel more peace, that is basically a confirmation that you are in tune with the universe. Okay, any more questions? We still have maybe 15 minutes. And feel free to ask me any questions about anything, not just to the lecture today. Question from Denise. Do you have a video with the evidence that angel and spirit guides entities exist? It is something to be experienced rather than... So think of it this way. If there's somebody who does not see colors, right? There are colorblind people. And they ask you, how do you prove that there are colors? And the answer is you can't. You can only give them information, but if they cannot see those colors, the colors really, there is no proof that the colors exist. So similarly, there is no proof that higher dimensions exist. However, if you meditate or if you do any other genuine spiritual practice over a period of time, you can get in touch with that dimension, and it is as real as colors for us. Any other questions? Question from Otivia. What causes confusion regarding spirituality? I have grown up constantly searching for what truly feels right for me and what is real and what is not real. I think your question reflects the general struggle with spirituality in our age. And the background is we are coming from a culture that's deeply rooted in either religion, which is not true spirituality, it's a way of control, or some of us are scientific and we become materialistic, where we say there is no spirituality. And there is no right foundation for spirituality yet. We are still building that foundation. And this is similar to how scientific revolution got started. Before Galileo, there was no scientific method, or there was no formalized scientific method. People were still kind of doing science, but they did not have the basic rules to work with. It took hundreds of years, even after Galileo published his things in 1613. It took a long time before it became a common framework. So this is exactly where we are in terms of spirituality. We are still building the foundation. But again, you have to learn to trust yourself and see what resonates with you. The more you go with that trust, the better, I would say, empowered you will be. Question from Greg. How can we help start a local chapter for in-person discussions near where we live? So Greg, as I had that diagram of community, the first step is to really align with the vision of the community and making sure that we are willing to live by the principles that are community principles. Most people in the Western world are still carrying that individualistic mindset where they have this own thing they want to do. And the problem is, if everybody does that, there is no community. There is just a group of people who are all doing their own things. So once you are in alignment with the vision of the community, I'll be happy to provide leadership and guidance, and the organization will work to create those chapters. But as I said, we are probably a few months away from that point. Question from J.I. Are there other beings that are working against our gaining higher consciousness? If so, do they increase as we become more enlightened? There is always a contrast in everything. If there is no contrast, there is no music, there is no movie, there is nothing, right? If you have a movie, to have the good guy, you need to have the bad guy. So this polarity is ever present. However, as you rise in your consciousness, you begin to understand that the polarity cannot hinder you. Your free will is paramount. So it might create challenges, it might slow you down, but that slowing down is actually part of your evolution because you have a chance to go deeper and understand what is going on. Question from Megha. Are you involved in any research work related to scientific spirituality? So the video that I created is part of that scientific spirituality. Right now, there are lots of people doing lots of things. And this is similar to in the early stages of scientific revolution. What my focus is to focus on community aspect more than just the research. Because if we just do the research, some people in some publications will get access to it, it will not reach the masses for a long time. I want to work the reverse way around, where we build a community, lay out clear principles of what we believe in and where we are, and then from here we go together on this journey. Question, okay, any other questions? So the Cutley link that I put in, if you click on that, you'll be able to join the course page, which is a year of spiritual transformation. Question from Sunny: are we ascending to higher energy realms if we achieve high enough consciousness? So in a way, you are already connected to those realms. You may not be aware of that connection. As you raise your consciousness, you will begin to connect with those aspects of you in a more conscious way. Okay, we have maybe 5 more minutes. Any other questions? Thank you, Leah. Okay, any final questions? Those of you who need to leave, thanks for being with us, and I hope you can join us in 2 weeks. Question from Olivia: how can we let go of fear in order to progress higher in our spiritual journey and let go of our bodily experiences? Olivia, I think that's a great question. Now, fear has a structure. What I mean by that is there is an underlying belief system that perpetuates fear. And you have to, if you want to really go at the core, you have to understand that belief system, work with that belief system till you get a more empowered way of looking at life. And once you have a better belief system, you won't be afraid anymore. It's like when we are kids, we are afraid of thunder. But as we grow up, we understand thunder, and then we are not afraid of it anymore. Question from Meta: what to do when people question the scientific aspect when we incorporate reincarnation into lectures? I believe that the scientific proof of reincarnation is already out there. So Stevenson and Tucker's research has spanned more than 50 years. They have more than 2,500 cases. However, you cannot prove in a way that you can prove a mathematical theorem that we reincarnate. And that's okay. The journey to higher consciousness has to be taken out of free will, not of force. And we are here to open the gate for them. Some people will walk through the gate. Some people will not. We are not here to control them. We are here to offer and serve out of pure love. Those who come with us, we'll be with them with joy. Okay. For everyone, thanks a lot for being with us. Again, as I said, I hope to see you in 2 weeks and also on the course page where you can have direct access to our community. You can also send me messages from there for anything you need, or you can type things for questions if you have any further questions there. I hope all of you have a great Sunday. Thank you.